Acast powers the world's best podcasts. Here's a show that we recommend.
Hi, I'm Debbie Millman, and I host a podcast called Design Matters from the TED Audio Collective. Every episode, I have conversations with designers, writers, artists, and other luminaries of contemporary thought. People like Roman Mars, Ai Weiwei, Ethan Hawke, and Ashley Ford. We not only talk about their crafts, but how they design the arc of their lives, what they've learned, what obstacles they've overcome and how they've done it, and how they see the world. Join us for an inquiry into the broader world of creative culture. Find and follow Design Matters with Debbie Millman wherever you're listening to this.
Acast helps creators launch, grow, and monetize their podcasts everywhere. Acast.com.
Hey everybody, Bodhi here. I mentioned in our last episode that Kilowatt just celebrated our 9-year anniversary, and I am going to share with you the very, very first episode of Kilowatt, because I think it's interesting. A couple of things you should know. One, I had no idea what I was talking about, and I don't know if it's clear or not, but I was just like barely hanging on by a thread. I felt like panic the entire time I recorded this episode. But the things that I'm talking about in this episode, it's going to be Elon and Tesla's master plan part 2. And the thing that you should know is I'm largely just regurgitating things that Elon said because I have no idea what's going on in the Tesla or EV world at this point. Like I have a rough idea what's going on, but nothing like it is now. There was a lot that I didn't understand. So I was just basically going off of Elon's talking points, and that shows. It really does show. The first part, like I said, is part 2, the master plan. We're going to talk about that. And I listened back to it. It was interesting to listen back to. There is a mention of Joshua Brown, which we talked about in the last episode. So you'll hear that again. And I made a statement in there that whenever, you have new technology like this, there are a certain amount of people are going to die. And that is just a fact. I think I mentioned this in the last episode. Is I was talking to somebody from the auto industry, and I was basically told that there's a certain amount of deaths that are, there's a threshold before a recall is done, and it's a certain amount of deaths and injuries and things like that. Whether that's true or not, I have no idea, but that's what I'm basing my opinion on. And, the cold, hard facts of it all is that, people are going to die in autonomous driving accidents. And I think it's on the companies that are developing this technology to make sure that they are doing it in the absolute safest way possible. And they need to be responsible for those decisions that they're making. All right, I think that's enough of me just talking. Let's go ahead and get to the episode.
Hello and welcome to Kilowatt. My name is Bodhi, and this is a podcast about Tesla. Well, mostly about Tesla. It's also about electric vehicles, which Tesla falls into, renewable energy, which now that Tesla bought Solar City or acquired them for $2.6 billion, also includes Tesla. Now, my name is Bodhi. I have to beg your forgiveness. It is really hard to do a one-person podcast. In the past, I've always done them with friends, and you can bounce stuff off of your friends or your co-hosts. You can rely on them to kind of prop you up when you're stumbling. Not when you're only doing a one-person podcast. A lot of the time, and I've done 3 or 4 of these test podcasts for Kilowatt, I sound like an idiot. So if I sound like an idiot, please forgive me. I'm trying to figure out the one-person podcast. It's a lot harder than you would think. So at the end of the show, I'll tell you how you can be involved if you would like for this podcast. And also, how to get in contact with me. But let's too far in the future, about 19 minutes in the future. These podcasts are going to be about 20 minutes. I call these they'll be released on a Wednesday, Thursday, or a Friday. And the reason why is because my schedule rotates and I have 3-year-old kids. So I can commit not to one day, but I'll either release it each Wednesday or Thursday or Friday, but it'll be released in one of those 3 days. So it won't be exactly on one specific day for release, but it will be once a week, Wednesday, Thursday, or Friday. And lots of Tesla news today. But what I wanted to do, since this is the very first one, is I wanted to talk about Elon Musk's master plan part deux. Sorry, Siri. Come on, Siri. Part deux, which is 10 years ago, Elon Musk came out with a master plan for Tesla, and he said, these are the things we need to do to get to an affordable car. Now that the Model 3 is out, or not out, I'm sorry. Now that the Model 3 has been announced and is starting production, he came out with Master Plan Part deux, or two, like deux. I don't know. There was a show in the 90s that did that. I think it was with Charlie Sheen. Anyway, it was a play on words. If you believe Jason Calacanis, and I have no reason not to believe him, he was the one that suggested that. But so this is what we got. I thought we would talk about the master plan, and I thought we would talk about the Gigafactory, which last Saturday I was not invited to because no one knew my podcast existed, and I expect to be invited to all the other ones in the future, all the other Tesla announcements, which, let's be honest, will never happen. Yeah. So this is what I was talking about with the one-person podcast. Anyway, so I thought we'd talk about the master plan and then go into the Gigafactory, and next week we'll start into news. So the first thing is, like I said, Tesla came out with this master plan 10 years ago. Elon Musk wanted to create a small production of luxury sports cars to help finance the cars that would come after. So the Tesla Roadster financed the Model S. The Model S helped finance the Model X. The Model X and S will help finance the Model 3, along with, about 500,000 pre-orders at $1,000 a pop. But Elon Musk's reasoning for this, and it's pretty sound, is that no one's going to pay $100,000 for a car that looks like a Honda Civic. And that's what it's going to cost to run a small production of what nobody thought was going to succeed. I remember back when Elon Musk announced the Roadster and announced Tesla, and they said, this is what we're going to do. Everybody said this company was going to fail. And so far, you know what? I think they've done pretty good. I don't know. I don't think they're profitable. But I can't, Elon Musk has made such an impact in the world with PayPal and SolarCity and now Tesla and SpaceX. It's really hard to argue with the guy. He has built up a lot of credibility. He said, this is what we're going to do, and it's getting done. Look at Hyperloop. Hyperloop is like this vacuum tube he proposed from San Francisco to LA. And it looks, there's 3 or 4 companies that are doing this, and they're talking to European countries, one in Russia, one in Helsinki to somewhere else, to get this pneumatic tube where basically, if you know where San Francisco is and you know where LA is, you can get there in an hour, which is pretty impressive. So high rate of speed in this pneumatic tube like you would find at your bank. So the part 2 of Tesla's master plan is to integrate energy generation and storage. So that means the rooftop panels for SolarCity, which like I said, they just acquired SolarCity for $2.6 billion, and the Tesla wall. I don't have a Tesla, but I do have SolarCity panels. I don't have Tesla wall, which is the battery pack for the house, but I'm not ruling that out for buying it. It's just got to get a little bit cheaper, and maybe with the Gigafactory that'll happen. So they acquired SolarCity with $2.6 billion, but the overall goal for Elon Musk is for the individual to be their own utility. basically, and I don't know if he's wanting this to be off the grid or if he's wanting a way for individuals to generate electricity and sell it back. Right now, what happens is I generate electricity because I have a lease with SolarCity, and I don't sell it back, but I get a credit every June. And then that credit carries me through the summer, which is good because I live in Phoenix and it's really freaking hot here. So that credit helps make the credit along with the solar panels makes my electric bill in the summertime a lot more manageable. Whereas it used to be, $220 a month, $260 a month. And then, by the end of the summer, you're paying $300 a month. I think our bills are right around $70, $75 at the worst in the summertime. So I'm on board with part one, which is integrate energy generation, which is the solar panels, or wind. He hasn't announced it, but, any clean energy generation with storage. Second is to expand the major forms of terrestrial transport. This is both, which is basically cars and other like trains, boats. He hasn't announced anything, but Tesla produces sedans and SUVs now. They have the Model S, the X, and the 3, which will be coming soon, like we talked about. Elon Musk wants to create a compact SUV, which would be like a junior Model X. I don't know if he's actually said this, but it's rumored to be the Model Y, so it spells sexy. And then a pickup truck, which, quite frankly, I'm on board with. The main reason I don't have a pickup truck, one is cost. Two, the second main reason I don't have a pickup truck is I don't want to pay the fuel prices for a pickup truck. I mean, for the love of bananas. When I talk to my friends who have pickups and they tell me how much they pay for gas, right now gas is low and it's not a big deal. But when gas is high and they're like, it's creeping up on $3, $4 a gallon and they tell me what they pay to fill up their tank, it's insanity. So that's the main reason I'm excited about a pickup truck. And Elon Musk said it's unlikely that they need a car that's cheaper than the Model 3, which is basically saying right now in the cards, there's no car because the Model 3 costs $35,000. Right now, there's no reason to have a car under $35,000, which, man, that's hard. Because to be quite honest with you, I could afford a $35,000 car. I could probably afford a $40,000 car, but that is way outside of my comfort zone. My comfort zone is probably between 25 and 30. So if they could get a car down into that range, I would feel way more comfortable. I would even trade off a little bit of range for that and some of the high-tech stuff that Tesla puts in their car. But it doesn't look like that's going to happen with Teslas. They're probably going to, I think the BMW 3 Series starts at about $35,000, dollars. And I think that's probably where they're going to keep it, Tesla, anyway. So, so that's the consumer stuff. Elon Musk was talking about, I highlighted develop the software, but I don't know why I did that. Turning production of the battery packs and we'll talk about this in the Gigafactory too, but the production of the battery packs and the car into a product, make that a product that ramps up production for your product. So the first round Model 3 production will be considered like the production, not like the car, but the production will be considered like almost like a beta, like a 0.5 release. Whereas in 2018, they'll be fully up and running. It'll be a 1.0 release, if you think about it like software. That's probably what I highlighted up above because this, my notes. Another thing they're talking about is commercial vehicles, which would be heavy-duty trucks like semis, which that would be incredible, not just the gas or fuel savings, because semis don't run on gas, they run on diesel, but the fuel savings, but that would also be having the technology that's in the Tesla cars to help avoid accidents. That's fantastic. I'm a firefighter. I go on accidents, car versus semi, not on a regular basis, but quite a few times a year, and it never turns out well for the car. Not everybody dies, but it never turns out well for the car. Those things are heavy. They're very dense. That's just a lot of mass to hit a passenger vehicle. So, or another semi for that matter. So just because of that, we're saving on the environment, hopefully, with the not using the fuel. But the better thing is the crash avoidance. And maybe somebody, who may not, like something might happen where a regular driver might not catch it in time. The Tesla truck could actually catch a potential accident in time and save someone's life. And the person in the car wouldn't even probably know about it. The other one is high passenger density urban transport. Basically, that's a van. Okay. Sorry, there's an awkward pause there. I have twin 3-year-olds, and I don't know if you can hear them singing the Paw Patrol theme song in the background, but that was the bribe, is I get to do a podcast, they get to watch Paw Patrol. And apparently it stopped for some reason. So if you heard noise and then it's a weird transition back into the podcast, that is why. So we were talking about the high passenger density urban transport, which is basically a van. Elon Musk thinks the buses are pretty much going to go away, and it's going to be a van that doesn't have an aisle. The seats go all the way through. I guess it's going to have multiple doors. I'm having a really hard time imagining this thing. And in my head, and this isn't, I don't have any reason to think this, but I'll tell you what I think it looks like in my head. It looks like kind of like a high-tech Volkswagen bus with seats that go all the way across, and you just slide in, and the van takes you to your destination. That is the point of it's a fully automated van or / bus that actually takes you to your destination rather than dropping you off at a specific point. You will have to be picked up at a specific point for now, or in the foreseeable future, what Elon Musk thinks, because this is obviously all just in his head, but whatever usually ends up in Elon Musk's head typically becomes reality. So, like I said before, the guy's got a lot of credit, and I have no reason to believe that this won't happen. Let's see here. So with the Tesla Semi, that's going to decrease cargo transportation costs and increase safety, which we talked about before. The other thing with the bus is the bus driver will be a fleet manager. So it'll be a fully autonomous vehicle, and the bus driver will just manage the fleet of vehicles. And I don't know exactly how he's going to do that. I'm sure there'll be lots of complicated software. But yeah, so that is that. And then autonomy. So right now we have self-driving cars, and we have the guy back east who passed away because of he was using autopilot on his vehicle. The National Highway Transportation Safety Board has determined that he was speeding, but we don't know. There's been some rumors that maybe he was watching a movie or whatever. The fact is, none of that matters. A car, and I don't know how many people live or have been back east. I've only been back a couple of times, but they have highways, and then like on the West Coast, mostly you have a freeway, and there's nobody coming across the freeway. It's everybody's going in the same direction, unless there's a lunatic on the freeway. Everybody's going in the same direction and about the same speed. In the highways on the East Coast, cars can actually travel across those. So the traffic may be going the same direction, same speed, and then a semi just kind of comes off, or another vehicle comes across that. And this is what happened. The semi came across the road. I think the gentleman's name was Joshua Brown. He was driving. The sensors didn't pick up the semi, and it just basically, he drove underneath the tractor trailer. So because of this, there's been a lot of stink about Tesla calling it autopilot, which I have no problem with. people are saying, well, autopilot makes you think that it'll do everything for you. I don't know a lot about aviation, but when a pilot, and I'm on an airplane, and he puts on autopilot, I do not pretend, or at least I'm hoping, that he's still paying attention. The pilot is, or at least the co-pilot. One of the two of them is hopefully paying attention. And so there's been a lot of call for the Tesla to either disable it or rename it. But the fact is that, and that's the National Highway Transportation Safety Administration, not board, by the way. The fact is that in 2015, 1 in every 89 million miles was a fatality. One accident in every 89 million miles was a fatality, and Tesla has gone something like 130 million miles before their first fatality. Like I said before, I'm a firefighter, so the cold, hard truth of it is people are going to die in car accidents. Hopefully this technology that Tesla is doing will limit that and decrease it significantly, but it doesn't change the fact that people are going to die in car accidents. It happens. It is something, if you get in a car, you could die. If I get in a car with my wife and my twins, there is a chance that we could all get, crushed by a semi or a bus or whatever, another vehicle, and we could all die. That is a risk that we take. And quite honestly, it's a risk I'm willing to take because I don't want to have a horse and buggy to try and get to California to take my kids to Disneyland. It would take way too long. I don't have that much vacation time. So autonomy is one of the other things on the list. So let's see. Elon says, Elon, like we're pals. Eventually all Tesla models will have self-driving hardware with the ability to continue driving even if your car software breaks. And this is key. Now, I'm not 100% honest. Like, if something in your car breaks and the car will continue driving, I don't know if that means like a safe stop. He's talking about fully autonomy in this particular quote. So, I'm not going to pretend to understand that. I basically think there's just redundancies in the system. So if your car breaks and it's driving itself, it's not going to just stop. It'll, get to where it's going and safely, not get to where it's going. It'll get to a safe spot and stop. Let's see here. And then we talked about autopilot. Sorry, take a drink here. Autopilot is important. It won't get better unless there's testing on wide scale. And this is why I'm okay with it, because the faster we get to that 10 times safer than people goal that Elon Musk has, the safer my kids are going to be when it's their age, when they're the age of driving. So I am totally fine with this. As far as I'm concerned, by the time my kids are old enough to drive and there is no steering wheels or anything in any car, because it's got to be every car, I'm fine with that. Doesn't bother me one little bit. I would rather not have dead children, and rather than them have the feeling of driving. So the other thing he talked about was sharing. So when regulators approve true self-driving cars, that means like you can summon the car from anywhere in the world. And then once you get in the car, you can either sleep, read, watch a movie or whatever, and the car is 100% doing everything. Then they can do like a Tesla shared fleet. And you can put your car into the fleet when you're not using it, when you're at work, if you go to if you go on a vacation or whatever, and you can put your car into the fleet and it will just drive people around wherever they want to go, and you'll earn a little bit of money to help pay for your lease or your car payment or whatever. I think this is neat. This is not something I would use because I can't guarantee that someone's not going to smoke in my car or, throw up in my car or whatever. But for me, like, I work 48 hours at a time. So there's really no reason, like I could take the car to my work, have the car come home and stay with my wife so she can go and do her stuff. And then when I'm ready, I can summon the car back to my work. So really, we might even only need one car, which is cool. That's awesome. And then my wife, when she goes to work, because we work opposite schedules, when she goes to work, she can do the same thing. I can summon the car back, drive the kids wherever they need to go, games and whatever. And then when she's done, or when she's ready to come home, she can summon the car back. Problem is I don't, if everybody's doing that, I kind of foresee a lot more traffic with nobody in the car. You know what I mean? There's going to be a lot more people on the road, or a lot more cars on the road with nobody in there. And if I'm on the road and there's nobody in the cars, and we're going to traffic jam because of all this stuff. But who knows? Apparently Elon Musk says that won't happen. So I'll believe him for now. But if I go to the airport, I hate paying airport parking. That is a pet peeve of mine. We went to Hawaii in May, and we paid $180 in airport parking. That's ridiculous. And it was out. It was we didn't even do under the covered parking. It was out in the sun. It was, I don't know. It was just, it's ridiculous. I hate paying that much money. But, you got kids with car seats. It's really difficult to get them into a cab or whatever. And then on top of that, there was a total of 5 of us going. So I would have had to pay for 2 cabs or 2 van rides or whatever, 2 Ubers. So it was we just went that way because it was easier. And then when I'm on vacation, I don't have to rent a car. That's the other thing. When we went on a vacation recently, it wasn't Hawaii, but it was $700 to rent a car. $400 of that was the car, and $300 of it was tax. It was $450, and the rest was tax. That's ridiculous. Airport tax. So we ended up renting a car off, away from the airport, and just taking a cab to the hotel and then going to get the car, which ended up being a pretty good deal for us. But we ended up saving $300 by doing that. But I don't want to do that. I want to get off. We got in the airport at 1 o'clock in the morning. I want a car to pick me up and take me to my hotel so I can go to sleep. And that is it on Tesla's Master Plan Part Deux. Man, this podcast was only supposed to be 20 minutes, and I am sitting at 23 minutes and 40 seconds right now. So I'll try and rush through the Gigafactory. There's only a couple more pages here. If you go to Tesla's website, you can view the master plan, but you can also view the video that they did on the Gigafactory. The Gigafactory, I think, was on last Saturday, which would be July 28th or 29th, something like that. They did a tour for special guests of the Gigafactory, and Elon Musk and another gentleman gave a little talk. And that talk is on their website. So you can go to their website, tesla.com/blog, I think is what it is. And you can watch the video if you want. But here are the highlights. First, Tesla's mission is to accelerate the world's transition to sustainable energy. So if you look at the acquisition of Solar City, you look what they're doing with the solar wall and the cars, this is all very clear, makes sense, right? Elon Musk is taking, and his team, you can't give him credit without giving his team credit. They are looking at the way production is working, the way people have been building cars, you name it. Their whole business, they've looked at that, and they're trying to turn it on its head and come up with a better way, which, quite frankly, I applaud. So the Gigafactory will help accomplish this mission at scale. Currently, the current Gigafactory that's there, which is huge, the current Gigafactory is 14% of what the total size will be. So that's 1/7 of the total size. So this thing is going to be massive. It's in Reno, or right outside of Reno. It'll produce, let's see, I think the total production, once it's all built out, will be 150 gigawatt hours of output. That's total production a year. And that'll produce enough batteries to help at scale to keep costs low for things like the Model 3, Model X, and their other vehicles. And hopefully the Tesla wall. They didn't mention anything about that, but I don't see why they wouldn't. The Gigafactory will produce more lithium-ion batteries than all of the other factories in the world combined. So, and more about that in a minute. They designed the factory like a product, and we talked about that. And rather than buying off-the-shelf machines from a catalog, they kind of created their own machines to their own spec. And initially this is more money, but eventually it's going to reduce cost, because what they're doing is building something in a way unlike anyone's built before. And in order to do that and keep costs low, they need to have these special tweaks. And I'm sure they're getting equipment that has been tweaked rather than built from the ground up. But I don't know, maybe there's some equipment that's built from the ground up. The entire factory is in CAD, and it shows, like, if you don't know what CAD is, it's computer-aided drafting. And they showed a picture of it, and it is like they designed it kind of like a microprocessor. So there's not wasted space, and they use the word density. They use the word density a lot, and there is a lot packed into this building. It is impressive, a lot of machinery, and every duct, wiring, machine, everything that's in the factory, down to like light switches or electrical outlets, that is all in CAD, which is pretty cool. Sorry, my wife's calling. And so that kind of helps them for planning, but B, that helps them put as much as they can into the system without waste. So there's not like an area that's really cramped and then an area over here that's got like 5 feet between equipment, and this area over here has 2 feet between equipment. They let them be very precise. And just like Henry Ford did, their goal is to put raw materials in one side and then have battery packs come out the other. And eventually Elon Musk said it would have cars. It makes more sense to have cars come out the other. So what happens now, I guess, and I don't know any of this, I'm just taking it by, from what Elon Musk says, is basically the lithium ion is mined in this part of the world, and then it is sent to another part of the world to have some processes done, and then depending on what it's used for, it's sent to another part of the world, and then it might be sent to another part of the world. And every time it's shipped somewhere, the cost of that product goes up. So his plan, like I said, is to have all the raw materials come in one side, and out the other side comes a battery pack and eventually a car. He says Gigafactory 2 will have cars built as well as the battery packs. It'll all be built in one facility. The Gigafactory is 6 million square feet, which is huge. We have, in my first Deux, where I work, I have quite a few buildings that are just over 1 million square feet, and those things are enormous. So 6 million square feet is really impressive. They have, you can fit 100 747s inside this building, or 50 billion hamsters, which is something that got a good laugh. And also, this building is second only to the Boeing factory in Seattle. And if you haven't seen like satellite pictures of the Boeing factory in Seattle, you should do a Google Maps search, because it is impressive. So in 2018, this factory is going to produce 50 gigawatt hours a year. So what does that mean? Because I didn't know what that means. That 50 gigawatt hours a year will give you about 500,000 electric cars. And at full scale, the 150 gigawatt hours a year will give you 1.5 million. So that's a pretty impressive number once everything's up and running. But 50 million, just to give you an idea, they brought up that in 2014, every lithium-ion battery producer only produced 30 gigawatt hours for the year. So even if Tesla wanted to use off the shelf parts to create their vehicles, which they don't want to do, and they're very specific as to why about that in the video. But even if they did that, they wouldn't be able to get enough batteries at scale to A, make it affordable, and B, hit the numbers of vehicles that they want to hit. So that lithium ion output is really important, that 50 gigawatt hours. And that 50 gigawatt hour number is theirs. They don't have to share it. They have to share the raw materials and things like that, and the technology that it gets from raw material to battery. But they don't have to, and I just realized I'm saying an awful lot, but they don't have to, I'm not going to say they don't have to share that 30 gigawatts with, Apple or whoever is building a product that requires a lithium ion battery. Doubling the size of the current Gigafactory will need to be done to meet the need for the Model 3. And you can see on the video, they must have a drone that was panning out over the factory. There's already space mapped out on the ground where they've already started breaking ground of the second gigawatt factory, which, super impressive. Anyway, so this whole thing, I just wanted to go over those two things. I think that's a good foundation if you're just learning about Tesla, or if you already are kind of a Tesla nut. That's a good way for us to start. It's a good way for us to start the podcast, I think. I hope you liked it. I hope you enjoyed it. Here's some ways to get in touch with me. Bodie, BODIE, at 918digital.com. That's my email address. The Twitter is 918digital. That's 918digital, numerals. And then the phone number, you can call and leave a message. And if you call and leave a message, even if you email me and you're like, hey, I have, something to add or a question or whatever you want to do, I'll take some time out of the podcast and we'll put your email on the air quotes. But also, if you send me a voicemail, which you can do by calling this phone number, I will put that, unless it's full of profanities, I'll put that on the podcast, and then it helps me, because now instead of just being a single person podcast, you guys are giving me feedback, bringing up good points, asking questions I could research for you. Just, that interaction, it's going to make it a better podcast. So call me at 918-401-0071. I don't answer that call. It's a Google Voice number, but it is set up for, It's set up for voicemail. So call me. I'll download the voicemail and put it on the podcast. Again, that number is 918-401-0071. And hey, you know what? Thank you very much for downloading and listening to this podcast all the way to the end. If you get to this point, I really appreciate it. And I will see you guys, or talk to you guys next week. Have a good week.
Cash flow crunch? OnDeck's small business line of credit gives your business immediate access to funds up to $100,000 right when you need it. Cover seasonal dips, manage payroll, restock inventory, or tackle unexpected expenses without missing a beat. With flexible draws, transparent pricing, and control over repayment, get funded quickly and confidently. Apply today at OnDeck.com. Funds could be available as soon as tomorrow. Depending on certain loan attributes, your business loan may be issued by OnDeck or Celtic Bank. OnDeck does not lend in North Dakota. All loans and amounts subject to lender approval.
And you know what? I agree. Thank you for downloading this podcast and listening to it all the way to the end. Interesting fact, that phone number doesn't work anymore. So if you try calling me on that phone number, it will not be me. My email address is still the same, and, all the other stuff, but not the phone number. So don't do that. I hope everybody enjoyed this episode. I will chat with you all tomorrow.
Acast powers the world's best podcasts. Here's a show that we recommend.
Hi, I'm Debbie Millman, and I host a podcast called Design Matters from the TED Audio Collective. Every episode, I have conversations with designers, writers, artists, and other luminaries of contemporary thought. People like Roman Mars, Ai Weiwei, Ethan Hawke, and Ashley Ford. We not only talk about their crafts, but how they design the arc of their lives, what they've learned, what obstacles they've overcome and how they've done it, and how they see the world. Join us for an inquiry into the broader world of creative culture. Find and follow Design Matters with Debbie Millman wherever you're listening to this.
Acast helps creators launch, grow, and monetize their podcasts everywhere. Acast.com.